Lights, camera, debate, ignite, passion strong under the spotlight. Tune in for the clash, tune in for the spark. The critic and the cynic light up the dark.
Welcome back to The Critic and the Cynic. The first one is called A Carol for Two.
Now I'm gonna jump in and just say, like, this poster looks old. Like, when I see it, I'm just like, are we watching something from the 60s, the 70s? Like, it looks really old.
I agree with you. The style of it, it looks like an older film, for sure. The only thing that would make it for sure old style is if it wasn't actually a real picture of the two people on the poster and instead was like a painting or a caricature or something. If it was like a cartoon or something, then I'd be like, oh, 100%, that is like an old movie. But A Carol for Two, the tagline here is your dreams find you if you do it right. Duet, right. Uh-oh, duet.
Oh no, is this a musical?
Oh, I don't, it doesn't say, it says genres, comedy and romance. Usually if it's musical, it says musical or music. It doesn't say that, but music might be part of it. So let's take a look at the premise of the film. Violet dreams of Broadway, but lands a singing waitress gig at Fiore's? I don't know. Her Christmas Eve duet with Alex, who resents her connections, could be her big break. As they rehearse, Alex's cousin Brad, with Alex's secret help, woos Violet. Alex develops feelings too, creating a messy love triangle that jeopardizes their shot at stardom.
Okay, so this is the first love triangle.
Yeah, I think for sure the first legitimate love triangle, especially because it says it right there in the premise. Who's in this? We have Gianna Claire, don't know ya. Paul Esembro, wow, I can't. Well, a lot of these people have names I can't really pronounce, so I don't know what to say about this. Singing is a big part of it.
Well, singing,
it's not
like
it's not a musical, but it's somebody who dreams of being in musicals.
Okay, well, a movie about music, I'm okay with. But a musical, I really struggle with musicals. They are just not my thing.
No, they might not be your thing, but at the same time, we're talking about Christmas movies, so sometimes we might end up with one because Christmas magic.
Well, if we end up with a musical, I'm gonna quickly veto that.
Remember, guys, we do have 3 buttons that each of us can click throughout this entire viewing experience. One of them, as she had just mentioned, is a veto button.
No, God!
That means that if one of us clicks it, that means that's it. We don't have to watch it, we don't have to really talk about it, other than the fact that, hey, we vetoed it. But we only can do that once through this entire experience. So you're gonna say you're gonna veto a musical just because it's a musical?
Yes, I cannot deal with an hour and a half of musical.
Later on in this entire experience, there's supposed to be a football movie.
I would rather watch a football movie than a musical. You do not understand my hatred of musicals.
Yes, but it's I don't know if it's the Tyler Kelsey or whatever.
Okay, yeah, if this movie, and I suspect that it is based on Kelsey and Taylor Swift, also could potentially be a musical and football, and that would be awful.
a double. But no, anything if it's related to Taylor Swift, I'd probably veto. So, yeah, it's me. But yeah, so we had those 3 buttons. The veto was one of them. Another one was the unicorn button, which I've already clicked for the spy movie last time. That was a great movie. That was a good one. Which the unicorn basically says, that's it. I'm saying it right here. For the rest of the experience, all the way up to Christmas, this is going to be the best movie out of the bunch. It's so rare. It is so good. It's basically as rare as a unicorn. And the last button is the absolute opposite of that, and that's the crap button, in which we're deciding right then and there that the movie sucks. And it's the worst of the worst. But yeah, so A Carol for Two is the first of the 6 films that we're taking a look at. I'm not sure. I can tell you that Track.tv has a average rating of 63%, which a lot of these movies that Hallmark has come out with has been in the ballpark of 6 out of 10. I think that's pretty much as average as it comes for this channel, though some movies do have a higher score. And welcome back. We have just sat through 6 movies, some of which were, I would say, excruciating for some.
Yes.
Okay.
I had to do it. I had to use the veto button.
The veto button, the nope button.
No, God!
It has occurred. In fact, it has occurred with the very first film of the week that we're talking about, which means that you can no longer do it again. Okay, now, to remind everybody, what was that movie that we just, the first movie?
A Carol for Two.
A Carol for Two. As we had maybe thought, this movie had to be a musical, or at least very deeply rooted in music. And that was definitely the case. This thing started off and had so much music just in the first 15-20 minutes. All Christmas carols.
And yes, it was, the music was the most important part. I mean, granted, we only got 20 minutes in before I'm like, I can't do it anymore. But it was like music was the main character.
That's a good way to put it. Music is the main character. Yeah. So, and I know you're not a huge fan of musicals, and I don't even consider it to be a musical. It's just people really like Christmas music. Yeah,
they do, but like, it was like every, 5 minutes they were breaking out into another song. It was really annoying.
And you have this woman who really wants to be in Broadway, and it's funny because I was reading comments on this thing while we were watching it, and people are like, who brings Christmas carols to an audition tape if you want to be on Broadway? That's true, but the thing about it is, from what I understand, is that the 2 leads in this movie, and a big part of why they're so unknown to us, is because they actually are Broadway stars. They were both most recently in the Broadway show for Wicked. She was Glinda, he was, I don't even know. But that is why they're in the movie, and while you're watching it, that's also why, in my eyes, they were gratingly annoying. Like, their singing style was very operatic, is how I mentioned it. It's very much like they think they're all that. On stage, it might be something. In a small venue where you're singing for a select few, it's in your face bad. It's like they're trying to be Mariah Carey or Christina Aguilera, or just like really just the vibrato in the voice, which does not need to be there for Christmas carols, was just a little bit too much. I agree with you there.
Yeah, they were trying too hard. And also, I mean, 20 minutes in, and I didn't give a flying toot about any of these characters, okay? They were boring, they were bland. I wasn't rooting for anybody.
I wasn't rooting for anybody either. They were definitely boring. I wouldn't say to the point where I couldn't sit down and watch the rest of the movie. Would I complain about it being bad? Maybe. I might have eventually hit the crap button, but I wasn't gonna be hitting the veto nope button for this.
Well, you know, I have a very, very low tolerance for musicals, and I agree this was not a musical because nobody was breaking out into synchronized dancing, because that makes no flipping sense ever.
It took itself too seriously.
Yeah, it was just...
And not every movie has to make fun of itself and be tongue-in-cheek, but like the first scene that you have in the movie, before it has any kind of introductions into these characters, you have the woman who's singing there like she's all that, singing a Christmas carol. And then the next scene, you have the male lead who thinks he's Frank Sinatra in his club singing Christmas carols.
Well, and like the worst part about it is, like, I don't actually have a hard like I don't mind when they're singing like that and like with all the vibrato like you said, but there was no emotion there. They weren't deeply connecting with these Christmas songs. They were just trying to be fancy, and that's annoying.
Yeah, it was a little bit full of itself. Because, again, these aren't actors at all. They're not actors. I mean,
Well, they
Broadway
are.
actors are actors, I suppose. You can say it that way, but that's not what I mean. I mean, they're not movie actors. Because when you think about stage actors, you think about actors that are more than used to very, very expressionful.
They have to be over
They
the
have
top.
to. They have
Yeah.
to be over the top. But when you do that in a movie,
It's cheesy.
it's not great to look at. And that's kind of how I'm taking it. I agree with you for the most part. I think it's the only disconnect here is the fact that you hate musicals. And because everything else I pretty much agree with. It's just I would have sat down and watched the rest of it. As bored as I might end up being, or as much as I might think the movie was terrible, I would just be like, might as well get through it. It's Christmas carols. We all turn on the car and listen to the radio, and most of us listen to Christmas songs from November whatever on to December.
Yeah, ones that are actually performed well.
Ones that are performed well, from ones that are classic anyway.
It's like, or even, the remakes. Some of those are fun, but this was not fun.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that screams needs to be seen. Sure, there was another hour that we didn't watch. So was there a possibility that somewhere in that hour something amazing happened? Maybe.
Maybe not.
Or maybe not. Or most likely not. It's Hallmark still at the end of the day. So this was your
Yep.
Nope selection. I still have mine at the ready. I'm still thinking maybe that football movie down the line, but there's a long road to get there. I might end up using it anyway, but I have used my unicorn, and you've used your Nope.
Yeah. Yep.
So there you have it, folks. This is our first recommendation to avoid a movie at all costs because that's what we do.
Yeah, because we couldn't even make it. Well, we made it a quarter of the way through because they're all
Yeah.
about 120 minutes.
And I'll
admit,
when it comes down to when I review movies, or at least a lot when I was younger, I had that 15-minute test in which I knew 15 minutes in what the rest of the movie was going to be like and how I would feel about it by the end. And that's usually what would trigger me to stop watching a movie, is, if anything, would be that. And that's essentially what you did. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've watched about 15, 20 minutes of the movie, and then you're like, I can't do it.
well, I mean, I probably could have done it, but I might have fallen asleep.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's all we can really talk about because we only saw 20 minutes of it. We don't know too much about the plot other than what we read beforehand. So I guess that just means that we are on to talk about the next film of this week.